coolness in our blackness. Being black is our common denominator. We love all things black. Black history, black books, black love, black thought, black joy, black pain, black triumph, black creativity. The black experience, black past, present, and future. We love because we know the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. We are the product of our ancestors, slaves to freedom, the cotton fields to the White House. Strength, wisdom, and endurance personified. And there is so much coolness in our blackness. And it is good. And it took a lifetime for me to realize it. Good morning and welcome to another conversation with Mose. And as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world, and that you're one day closer to your dreams, hopes, and prayers coming true. I thought I'd give you a poem from my book, my latest book, the Psalm 23 Experience, and it's called Coolness in Our Blackness. Let me say that one more time, just because I like saying it. Coolness in our blackness. And I have to say that poem was inspired by my partner. It is our common denominator. We both love every aspect of being black. The good, the bad, the ugly, black history, black documentaries. And that was our common denominator. That's really what brought us together. Just talking about the black experience, our experiences from different viewpoints and from his eyes and from my eyes. And it's been a very interesting journey with him talking about the black experience, especially now being in our 50s. But anyway, I just thought I'd give you a little black story on that. But today's subject for today is a black man's vote in a red state. Let me say that one more time. A black man's vote in a red state. And let me just say this first. I had a lot of technical difficulties this morning, and I think I was a little nervous. Honestly, I am a little nervous even now because I've never really discussed politics. And this is really not going to be a political podcast at all. It's really just my perspective on voting and the experiences I've had over the years voting and the importance I think it is to vote. I'm not going to get into who I'm voting for. I mean, you can assume whatever, but I do want to talk about, again, the importance of that I feel voting is at this particular juncture in our lives. And I say our lives because it affects everyone. But what I've come to understand is that, or believe, is that people fought for this right. And actually, when I was a young boy, even when I was a young man, a younger man, I never thought about it, really. Even when I started voting, I never thought about the sacrifices and the tragedies that came about for people that couldn't vote. The fighting and all the hoops they had to jump through and the mountains they had to climb to allow me to vote. My parents, parents, and so on and so forth. Because I believe I'm like maybe 5 generations from slavery, if that. And I never thought about it. Living in the South. And I believe that we take it for granted that we can that we can just, whether we vote or not. And honestly, I think it's disrespectful, on one hand. Whether you think it's going to make a change or not, I feel some kind of way now if I don't vote. I just feel like it's just, again, I respect everybody's right to do whatever they choose to do. But again, when you think about this country and the people that died literally to make it happen, it humbles me. It really humbles me and I'm going to go back to the last election. I moved to Oklahoma in 2018, and I was not allowed to vote in 2020. They gave me hell. And when I say I wasn't allowed to use my Georgia driver's license. And they had given me all of this rigmarole about, long story short, they just wouldn't allow me to vote. And it was an 80-year-old white couple that said I needed to show proof that I was an Oklahoma resident and all this other rigmarole. And I didn't have any of that stuff with me. And, of course, I was holding up the line. And I was so angry. I wanted to flip tables over. I wanted to let this 80-year-old couple have it. And then I thought about all the black people or people of color they might have been treating the same way, that they expect us to do that. And then again, they could have banned me from voting all the way around. And so I walked away. I was upset. And then I told everybody I did vote because I was embarrassed. Honestly, I was embarrassed, but I was angry. And now I got everything I needed. I have my Oklahoma driver's license, and I made sure all my boxes were checked. And I also know where my polling place is as well. But I'm saying all that to say that we really have to do it. And if you have young people as children, adult children, you have to encourage them to do it. I wouldn't necessarily get into who you're voting for. Like I said, at least get involved, because the future is bleak. The future is scary. And I have no idea, because I think either way, whether you're Republican, Democrat, whichever the way the wind's going to blow, it's going to be a challenging 4 years, either way. But for me, and then listening to other people talk, being in a red state as I am, understanding what that means. Even my hometown, my home state of Ohio is a red state, and all of my family is there. So, and I definitely have my concerns about my hometown and my community. I have my thoughts about that, because I feel like, where's the money for our community? Where is that? And it's not the same neighborhood I grew up in. So I definitely have my concerns about where I think the money goes as far as the black communities are concerned. And I want to get more involved. I want to understand the hierarchy and how the government works. Because again, I'm going into my 60s. I'm closer to 60 than I am 50 now. So my values have changed. My thought processes have changed. And I'm listening more. I'm paying more attention. And I wasn't, again, I'm still not one of those political people, but I am watching the news more. I am, like I said, paying more attention, because I feel like it's affecting everybody differently. Whether we have rich friends, poor friends, people in the middle, it affects somebody. That's why I believe this election is very important to a lot of people, because again, it might not affect you directly, but it may affect somebody else that you know. And again, we're in a time where I don't want to feel like I was the one that could have changed, by just voting. That one vote that could have changed or made the difference. And I don't want that guilt. Even though I'm in a red state and it may not change to blue on my vote, but at the same time, I'll feel some kind of way if I don't contribute to the conversation. Because again, I think it's, even in the workplace, I really don't like discussing politics. But to be honest, spiritually speaking, I think the world is interesting. Very interesting. There are a lot of things I don't understand as far as the gun violence. I still have yet to buy a gun, but I'm on the fence about it, to be honest with you. And I promised my dad and my family that if I ever got a gun, I would learn how to shoot it. I haven't shot a gun since I was in high school, and I was in ROTC. And honestly, I don't even know, it was a rifle of some sort. And I was like 16. But I didn't grow up with guns at all. You know, I have country cousins, and most of the people I know have guns. But my dad, we just didn't grow up with them, you know. Unlike now, we're in a different time. A lot of people have guns now. And, you know, if you're in the military, and like I said, I didn't go to the military, so I don't have any experience with guns. And here in Oklahoma, it's pretty much a gun-toting state. You know, it's pretty much everybody here has a gun. I mean, women, men, young, old. It's different to me. Honestly, it's different, and I'm not comfortable. And then my other question is, what do I do if I have a gun? Do I keep it in the car? Do I keep it? I have so many questions. Do you carry it with you everywhere you go? And again, learning about being in a red state and in a blue state, I'm really starting to dig into it. And really, when I say dig into it, really finding out what's going on around me. Because I was definitely not one of those people that discuss politics with other people. And I'm always the last to know. I'm always the last one to find out stuff. So now I'm trying to be more engaged because it affects me. It really affects me. And the intensity of people's convictions about who they're going to vote for and why, people arguing, people fighting, and it's scary to me. Honestly, I say mind your own business. I mean, to each his own, but to the point where you got to lay hands on people because they're not sharing your viewpoint. And to be honest, I think we're living in a time where people are really, really in their feelings. And, you know, I did a whole podcast on that. You know how I feel about people when they get in their feelings. And we all do it. But I'm not convinced that's the way to go. I'm not. There are a lot of things that bother me. There are a lot of things that I don't agree with. But I can't make people do what I would do. And there are a lot of reasons that people do what they do, and I understand it. So I don't really question people's motives. I just don't understand why people have to be so aggressive with their convictions and why they want to impose their views on you when it comes to those things. And that's why I say I think that's the one thing I've learned about living in a red state like Oklahoma. There's a lot of people that want to challenge you. And I'm sure it's in other states as well. I'm almost 100% sure of that. But here, they have very strong opinions about it, very strong. And I just choose to shy away from those conversations. I mean, even when I was in Georgia, I felt the same way. And to be honest with you, racism is so, and I've never seen it so transparent and so unapologetically in your face. It was always so subtle and you know, but now it's like, this is me. And to be honest with you, I believe that the circumstances and the climate has made me blacker, as I've said before. It's made me more prideful in the kind of black man that I am. And it's pulled out some things painfully, but I'm proud of who I am. I still face a lot of challenges, and I mean, like everybody else, and it's made me more spiritual, more connected to my higher power, and I like being on this side. You know, I like choosing peace of mind, and I don't have to be right. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like what I do. But to be, again, a black man in this state of mind, and in this physical state, is different for me. Very different. I'm kind of like on the fence of, what do I do now? And if it wasn't for prayer and for the people I keep around me, I'd be more concerned. Because to be honest, I have a lot of anxiety about this time. I'm concerned about my future. I'm literally concerned because I will be 60 years old when whoever is in the White House, and once they get out of the White House, once they, that 4 years, I'll be 60 years old. So I have a lot at stake here for me, and I need to know what my future is going to look like, God willing, and for the rest of us. So yeah, this vote is important. And I'm saying all that to say that we have to get out there and vote and just do it for your ancestors. and your ancestors' ancestors if you don't do it for no other reason. Even if you don't think anything's going to happen in your favor, do it anyway. Do it anyway. And ironically, I had a John Lewis quote that I was trying to connect with this podcast, but I'll probably do it. Maybe I'll do it at the end of the podcast. I'm not sure yet. I was having some technical difficulties, but I wanted to get the thoughts out while it was fresh on my mind. And I have to say, I purposely don't edit myself. You know, I'm sure that I might be making mistakes here and there with my podcast in terms of my delivery. But I want people to know that I don't polish what I do. I really don't. I'm very speaking from the heart, the way I feel, because I think that's the problem. People are trying to make everything sound perfect, to be polished and to be. My thing is, I want to know how you felt when you heard what I said, not how I said it, or, you know, I think that's the problem now. Everybody wants the perfect candidate. Everybody wants the perfect relationship, perfect family, perfect body. I'm not living from that. That's the problem. I think everybody wants to have a perfect life in some way. And I stopped believing that. The only thing you can do is live your best life, whatever that looks like for you. And again, voting is a part of that process while we're in this country. And if you're complaining about something in this country and you're not doing anything about it, then I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening. You know, because at least you know my perspective. You know I'm trying to put plans in place, and I want to encourage people, and I want to be encouraged. We have to coexist in this country. We have to coexist. Unless you're moving out of the country, unfortunately, I don't have the money to move. And that's a whole nother conversation. But we have to learn to coexist with each other. And the goal really isn't to like each other, but maybe just respect each other's perspectives. And that's the part that really troubles me, is the ignorance in this country still. To be ignorant in 2024 is something you're choosing to be. If you're not paying attention to technology or what's going on around you, you're going to get left behind. Literally. And you can't blame anybody else. You can't. You got to stay on top of it. You got this AI technology that's happening right now. There's so much going on around us that you have to keep up. It's not just a millennial thing anymore. And if you want to know what's going on in your world, in your state, in your country, in your city, in your town, you have to pay attention. And the other thing I want to talk about too, pay attention to people's spirit. A lot of people are struggling way more than we want to admit in terms of the suicide rate, people kind of losing it in terms of their minds for whatever reason. Check on people. Check in on people. Because to be honest, I'm one of those people that don't need to be checked on every day, because I let people know how I'm feeling. I let people know what I'm going through. I don't hide behind my feelings and say, hey, I'm honest. If I'm going through some shit, I'm telling you I am. This is why I'm not calling you. I'm going through something right now. But I don't mind checking on people. But like I said before, I've always reached out and said, hey, what's going on? But I always tell my friends and family, if you need me, by all means, tell me. You know, don't assume that I know. And I'm saying all that because, yeah, it's about voting and all that good stuff. But it's more than that right now. It's way more than that. And I think a lot of us don't realize the challenges that we all face and how important this election actually is. And we need to get away from, and I'm purposely not mentioning the candidates because I really don't want to, again, dive into that, because I don't want it to seem like I'm siding with one more than the other. You make your own choices, your own decisions. But I can say at the end of the day, how is this person going to help me and my family? That's how I look at it. How is it going to help me and the people I care about? Who's the best candidate for that? And is it going to help my neighbor, my friends down the street? Because again, it affects everybody. And I think, again, we have to think about our ancestors. Somebody died for that privilege. Because if it was up to certain powers that be, we'd still be going to colored bathrooms. Colored this, colored that. everything would be separated. And again, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen in my lifetime, if I'm going to see the changes that I hope to see. I hope my parents live to see it. But again, it's just my perspective on just the everyday man concerned about the future and feeling like my vote matters. I do. I really feel like it matters, even though it might not change the way I hope it does, but you just don't know. Because if you think everybody thinks that way, if 1 million people didn't vote, you did play a part in it. You did. Because if 1 million people took I don't want to do it, then you really did. You can't blame anybody. And if you do, I wouldn't tell nobody. I would just keep it to yourself. Because there's a lot at stake. There really is. And like I said, if you're not paying attention to voting and registering to vote, and then also make sure all your boxes are checked when you go to your polling place. Get your card. Get everything you need to make sure that when you're in line to vote that you have it. Because this is going to be one of those elections that they're going to question everything. I mean, I've seen some of the changes they're trying to make per state. They're going to want all your information to make sure you are who you say you are. I mean, damn near your birth certificate. So I would just stay on top of it, because I don't want anybody to be angry as I was. I mean, I was angry. Here I am discussing my citizenship with two 80-year-old white people telling me that I can't vote and blah, 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 blah. And I had to really dial it down. And that's the perspective that I wanted to come from, is that I know I'm not the only one that has experienced that. And I was by myself. There was nobody to calm me down. I had to calm myself down. And again, I don't want to flip tables over. I don't want to be I don't want to hurt myself in terms of, I'm 56 years old. I've come this far, and I can't let anybody push those buttons anymore. I just can't. I mean, I refuse to. And if you get nothing from this podcast, it's really about just doing your research, however thorough you need to be, and then decide who you want to vote for. But just do it. And again, I think it's a personal decision, personal choice that you don't have to discuss with anybody. I don't think you need to bring it up at the family reunion or at the dinner table. Everybody has a choice they have to make. But just realize it's going to affect everybody around you one way or another. So that's really my take. Again, I'm not trying to get into this who I'm voting for, who you're voting for. It doesn't matter. Just get out there. But I will say it again. Don't complain. If you're not doing anything about it, I don't want to hear it. No one wants to hear it. If you're not doing anything, if you're not getting out there and fighting for something, and you just laying back letting other people do it, that's a problem for me. That I have a problem with. People that complain about problems and situations and they're not putting any effort to change it, then I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your perspective. I don't really care, because you're not doing anything. You're not fighting for anything. You're not standing up for anything. You're just laying back waiting for other people to fight for you. And then you want to complain about it because you didn't get your way. And what? You know how I feel about your feelings, especially if you're not fighting. You got people out here sacrificing even now to be in certain positions. And you got people that want to complain. And, and again, I just can't respect it. I really can't. I respect anybody that's standing up for something. At least stand up. And that's it. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Let me get off my semi-political soapbox. I wanted to also say, here comes the holidays, and my store, All Things Moetic. Stop on by. I'm going to have some more goodies there soon. I got my t-shirts, my Black Man Magic. And I have to say, speaking on my Black Man Magic t-shirts, it's been interesting. I've sold a few, but I find myself looking at some of the black men that have bought the shirts and the ones that haven't bought the shirts. And this is my personal, I guess, analogy or observation. it seems like people don't feel confident to me to wear a shirt that says Black Man Magic, which is interesting to me. Because I have a lot of respect for Black women and, you know, the Black Girl Magic movement, but I never factored that in, that people wouldn't feel magical, that Black men aren't. And it is a personal thing, I have to admit. You really have to wear my shirt, Black Man Magic, with pride. That's the intent. And I don't want anybody to wear something they don't feel. If you don't feel that about yourself, then of course I don't want to push anybody. But I am. I know I'm magical. I know I'm great. And I purposely designed it to where your father's father could wear it, your grandfather, your great grandfather, your nephew, your college student. I purposely didn't put an image on it. I purposely didn't make it dated because I wanted it to be for any Black man to wear it, not just a certain Black man. I didn't put a quote on it that was dated to a time. I wanted it to reflect all Black men are magical, no matter the background, no matter what we're being told. Because to be honest with you, I hate the way they talk about us. You know, again, there are things that I don't want to get into, but Black men are still targeted. Our character is still being questioned constantly. And I want to see us lifted. I do. No disrespect to Black women, but Black women do it. I'm going to lift us up every chance I get. And even if they shoot at me, I just feel strongly that Black men are magical. We are great. And we have to keep telling ourselves that. And every time somebody puts on a Black Man Magic shirt with my poem on the back, I want them to feel a certain kind of way. And if they don't, again, you can't give people Black pride. You can't. But anytime you put on something that has a poem of mine on it, I want you to feel blacker, stronger, wiser. And again, do your history. Matter of fact, I'm going to suggest watching some documentaries, learning, reading books about Black history. And the reason why I think Black history is so important is because I've learned they went through some shit back then. And if they can go through that, then I can go through this. That's how I look at it. You know, if I'm listening and reading and understanding my Black history, if they can go through that, then I can go through this. That's how I look at it. It's like, I can't imagine going into a colored bathroom. You know, I can't. Me being me, I would just be militant and be like, I'm going into the white bathroom. Somebody fought so I can, you know, go anywhere I choose to go. So again, that's my motivation now. You know, it's like, yeah, it's respectful of my ancestors and the tears that were shed, the prayers that were spoken. And again, I want you to buy a Black Man Magic shirt. And I want the Black women that have strong Black men in their lives to buy a shirt. What about your strong Black son? What about your nephew, your cousin? You know, even the brother that just got out of jail, he needs to be reminded. And again, yeah, I'm getting on my soapbox about my Black Man Magic shirts. I'm proud of those shirts, and I want people to wear them with pride. And I will be selling them. Of course, again, I'm selling them in my store, but I will be selling them at my Black Experience exhibit, which is coming soon in November. And I will definitely be giving you more details about that. My first time doing poetry publicly in 7 years, and actually the first time I'm actually doing a gallery showing of my work. So again, I'll keep you posted as things go along. But as always, I pray life is treating you well wherever you are in the world, and that you're one day closer to your dreams, hopes, and prayers and aspirations coming true. Thank you for listening.